Hey, Michael, I just saw your missed call. Everything okay? You sounded serious in your voicemail.
Hi, Rachel. Yeah, there's something I've been wrestling with and I'm not sure how to bring it up. It's about the wedding. More specifically, about a prenup.
A prenup? Wow. That's not exactly what I was expecting to talk about today. Why are we suddenly discussing that?
It's not really sudden. My sister Lisa and a few others in my family have been pressuring me for a while. They're worried about my assets, especially the house I inherited and the business I co-own. I love you, Rachel, but they keep insisting I protect myself.
Protect yourself from me? Is that what they think this is about? That I'm some kind of gold digger? Michael, you know that's not who I am.
I do know that, but they don't see it that way. They remember my late wife. Her passing was so hard on everyone. Now they're all in defense mode, telling me I have to ensure my kids' inheritance is safe. And honestly, with the tension in my family, I'm trying to keep the peace.
So you're asking me to sign something that basically says, if our marriage fails, I get nothing. Do you realize how insulting that feels?
I understand why it sounds insulting. Believe me, I'm torn up about this. It's not because I distrust you. It's more about making everyone else feel at ease. And, well, maybe it's partly for me too. I've had sleepless nights worrying that if anything ever happened, I'd be stuck in another painful legal battle.
I thought we were in this together, with trust. Now it seems like you're planning for a possible divorce before we've even exchanged vows.
That's the last thing I want. Please, I'm not trying to set us up for failure. It's just, there's so much pressure from every side. And I do feel a responsibility to protect what my kids will one day inherit.
I have a daughter too, you know. She's grown, but I've still got responsibilities. I've never asked you for a dime, Michael. I have my own career. How could they think I'm after your business or property?
They don't know you the way I do. My sister especially. She's pretty protective. When she found out we were getting married, she started talking about legal measures right away. Look, I know it's not romantic, but I need you to at least consider it.
You're basically telling me you're putting your family's opinions above our relationship. This is supposed to be about us.
It is about us, in a twisted, messy way. I'm trying to strike a balance between our future and everyone else's concerns. I love you, Rachel, and I don't want this to become a wedge between us.
Well, it already feels like a wedge. I'm sorry, but this is triggering memories of my past. My ex-husband used to accuse me of chasing his assets. He made the divorce so ugly. Now I'm walking right into a marriage where your family suspects me of similar motives.
I'm so sorry. I never meant to bring up that pain again. But if you could just think about it, maybe we can shape a prenup that doesn't treat you like some threat. We can make it fair, something that respects your independence and your contributions too.
Respect, Michael, is not making me sign a contract that suggests I might be a problem in the future. You think just because we can tweak the terms, it'll make me feel less hurt?
I'm not sure. I only know ignoring my sister and the rest of my family could cause huge friction in the long run. They're helping with the wedding. They're part of my life. I don't want my marriage to create a permanent rift with them.
Wonderful. So if I say no, I'm the bad guy. That's what it sounds like.
I don't want to paint you as the bad guy. I promise that's not my intention. Could we at least talk it through calmly? Maybe meet with a lawyer who can explain the process? We can include clauses that protect you too, so it's not so one-sided.
Protect me from what? Being abandoned? Betrayed? If you expect me to sign something, maybe I should add my own clause. Like, if you ever cheat on me or walk out for no reason, you owe me more than just an apology.
Would that help you feel safer? I know you've got scars from your previous marriage, and I don't want to make them worse.
You want a prenup? Fine. But I'm not signing anything unless it addresses my fears, too. I can't believe we're having this conversation. I honestly felt we were beyond that sort of mistrust.
I never planned to start a fight, but the closer we get to the wedding date, the louder my family gets. And I don't have the heart to shut them down entirely. They're panicked that I'm acting on emotion instead of logic.
Well, welcome to love, right? It's supposed to be about emotion and trust. Yet here we are, turning it into a legal battlefield before the honeymoon's even on the calendar.
I know. Look, how about we take a step back? We can talk more tomorrow. Maybe we'll both have time to cool off and think of a solution that doesn't tear us apart.
I guess so. But this is a huge deal for me, Michael. I don't want to go into a marriage feeling like I have to prove I'm not after your wallet.
I get it. I'll try to talk to Lisa again, make her understand how insulting this feels. But I need you to also see my side just a bit. Let's keep the lines of communication open, okay?
Fine, let's try. But I'm warning you, I'm not backing down if your family thinks I'm some money-hungry scammer. I won't stand for that.
I understand. Let's pick this up tomorrow. I love you, Rachel. I'm sorry this is hurting you.
I love you too. I just need time to process all of this.
Good night.
Good night.
Rachel, I was hoping we could talk more about all this. I know last night was rough for both of us.
Yeah, it was. I barely slept, honestly. Kept tossing and turning, thinking about how we even got here.
I'm sorry. It's been haunting me too. I want you to know I talked to my sister again this morning. Tried to tell her how hurtful this whole prenup discussion is for you.
How'd she react?
She's stubborn. She still insists we need something in writing. But look, I told her straight up that if we do a prenup, it won't be one-sided. I said you'd want to add your own conditions.
Did she roll her eyes at that?
Probably. It was over text. She just replied with something like, "Fine, as long as it protects you." Honestly, I don't want to keep bringing her up because I know it just makes you upset. But you deserve to know I'm trying to stand up for you.
I appreciate that. I do. But her attitude isn't the core issue. My main concern is your own stance. I get that you feel pulled in different directions. Your family, your assets, your kid's future. But I need to be sure you're doing this because you think it's right, not just because your sister is pressuring you.
Let me be honest. Part of me does want something in writing. Not because I think you'd ever do me wrong, but because I've seen how messy life can get. My previous marriage didn't end in divorce, it ended in tragedy. And still, there were legal complications with hospital bills, insurance, the estate. It was chaos. The minute lawyers swoop in, everything gets so impersonal. I guess I'm trying to avoid that blind spot.
It's so confusing. You say you trust me, but you still want legal paperwork as a safeguard. It's hard not to take that personally.
I know. I wish it didn't feel that way. I don't want you to think I'm expecting the worst from you. If anything, I'm expecting the worst from fate. It's like I'm preparing for life's curveballs. But your feelings matter to me. If this is going to poison our relationship, I need to rethink everything.
Don't you see? There's a huge part of me that feels like the moment we sign those papers, something changes. We're basically telling each other, we love each other, but not enough to forgo a legal safety net. It's painful.
Maybe we can look at it differently. A prenup can also spell out that we share any future assets acquired after the marriage. It can specify you'd have a rightful claim to certain things, like if we buy a new house together. And about your idea, a clause that protects you if I ever betray you. I'm not opposed to that if it gives you peace of mind.
You say that now. But once it's on paper, I can only imagine the tension. What if 10 years down the road you resent having to live under some punishment clause?
Then I should remember that I agreed to it because I love you and have no intention of betraying you in the first place. If I'm faithful, it's a moot point.
Easier said than done. You know how relationships evolve. Emotions shift. We face midlife stresses, our kids, jobs. People sometimes do stupid, hurtful things even when they start out with the best intentions.
True. But if we're both serious about wanting to protect each other from heartbreak, maybe putting it in writing is a sign of respect. Like, I'm promising you right now that I won't walk out on you or cheat. And if I break that promise, I face real consequences.
I guess it's a new perspective. It's still a grim conversation. I never pictured my wedding being overshadowed by talk of finances and potential betrayals.
Neither did I. I had this rosy vision of us blending our families, traveling, enjoying life together. But real life is messy. I want to believe we can handle this without letting it destroy our happiness.
So how about we try to draft something we can both stomach? I'm not saying I'm ready to sign, but maybe we outline our terms, I have a feeling it'll be emotional, but at least we'd be talking.
Absolutely. We can start small. Maybe a bullet point list. What I want, what you want, and see if there's a middle ground.
Fine. Let's do it. I'll text you some thoughts. You text me yours. We'll compile them. But please understand, if at any point this gets too toxic, I might just refuse altogether.
I hear you. I'll do my best to keep everything fair.
All right. First, I'm not comfortable with a blanket statement saying I have no claim on any part of your estate. If we're married, we're partners. I'm not planning to steal your kid's inheritance, but I do believe I should have some security in case something happens to you. Or to me.
Agreed. Maybe we say whatever I had before our marriage remains solely mine, and whatever you had remains solely yours. But anything we acquire together, like if we invest in a property or open a joint account, should belong to both of us.
That sounds more equitable than you get nothing. And I want to make sure we address the scenario where you decide this marriage isn't working and leave me high and dry. I'm not expecting that, but you've pushed for a prenup to protect yourself. I need it to protect me too.
I understand. How would you want that to look?
Maybe if you file for divorce without a substantial reason, like if you just decide you're bored, or you met someone else, then there's a compensation package for me. Something that recognizes the years I invested in our marriage.
That sounds fair. You'd be sacrificing your time, merging your life with mine. If I abandon that for selfish reasons, you deserve compensation. I can accept that.
Good. On the flip side, if I walk away out of the blue or cheat on you, I can't expect a windfall from your estate. It goes both ways.
Exactly. A balanced approach.
Another thing, the emotional toll of my past. I got drained mentally and financially when my ex dragged me through the mud. I never want to repeat that. So maybe we add a clause saying we commit to mediation first to reduce legal battles?
That's actually a great idea. A lot of couples do that. Specify that any disputes go to mediation before a court fight. It saves money, stress, and spares both parties more pain.
It's not foolproof, but it shows we're both willing to act responsibly, even if the worst happens. I'm still struggling with the concept that we're even planning for the worst. But if it's a must, then I want it as fair and humane as possible.
Believe me, I hate this. I wish it weren't necessary. But I'm also trying to be pragmatic. Life has thrown us both around. Maybe clarity is better than wishful thinking.
We'll see. I can't promise I'll feel good about signing, but if we craft an agreement that respects both of us, I might be willing.
Thank you, Rachel. I feel like we're at least moving from anger to negotiation, which is a step forward.
Don't misunderstand. It still hurts. I'm not magically fine with this, but you're showing you're willing to hear me, and that counts for something.
I'll keep proving it. I don't want to lose you.
Well, you better do more than talk if you want to convince me. Actions speak louder than words.
I know. I'm planning to call my attorney friend for some pointers on how to structure all this. I can share the info with you, and we can start drafting, just you and me. Then if we need a formal lawyer, we do that last.
All right. Let's keep control in our hands, not the lawyers. I don't want a stranger telling us how our marriage should be arranged.
Agreed. Let's see. Maybe tomorrow we can sit down in person, have dinner at your place, and go through some bullet points. That way we're calm and can think without outside interference.
Okay. But be ready. I'm likely to cry or get upset. This whole topic just hits me in a vulnerable spot.
Let it out if you need to. I'll do my best to comfort you, even if I'm partly the cause.
I just hope this doesn't break us. Because every time I imagine our wedding day, I picture joy, not lingering resentment over a contract.
I feel the same. Let's promise each other we'll keep the love we have in mind. The prenup is just a piece of paper. Our bond is bigger than that.
I want to believe that. I guess we'll see, right?
We will. For now, let's try to salvage the rest of today. Maybe we can text each other some possible terms, just to get our thoughts down.
Sure. I'll take notes on what I'd like to see. You do the same. We'll compare tomorrow.
Sounds good. And Rachel?
Yeah?
Thank you for giving me a chance to show you I'm not picking my family over you. I'm just trying to juggle their fears with the reality that I love you more than anything.
Just remember, my trust doesn't come easily, especially after what I've been through. If I'm agreeing to even talk about this, it's because I do love you. So don't let me down, okay?
I won't. I promise.
Then let's do this. I'll text you later with some bullet points.
All right, talk soon.
Talk soon.
Hey, Rachel, I got your bullet points. Read through them carefully. You've really thought about this deeply, haven't you?
I had to. The whole thing has me on edge. I wanted to make sure my feelings and my fears are clearly outlined so you can see what's important to me.
I appreciate the detail. I started drafting my own list in response. I figure we can combine them to create a rough framework for that prenup we talked about. Are you ready to go through it, or do you need more time?
We might as well. This has been hanging over my head all day. The sooner we tackle it, the better. But I warn you, I've got a lot of questions about your points, too.
That's fair. Let's do it step by step. How about we start with the property aspect, specifically, what I owned before we got together?
Right. I said in my notes that I don't need any claim over the house you inherited from your late wife. Or your business stake. That was all yours way before I came into the picture. I just want to be sure that if we upgrade the house or invest time and energy renovating, that investment is recognized.
Yes, exactly. If we remodel the living room, add a pool, or fix the roof, we should note the proportion of your financial input. If you pay for part of that upgrade, you deserve a share of its increased value. I'm okay with that.
Good. I don't want to feel like I'm sinking money or sweat equity into a house that never truly feels like it's partly mine. Even though I respect that it's primarily your property, we should clarify how any improvements will be handled.
Agreed. I also saw your point about your own investments. Your design business and the savings you've built up, those remain yours, no questions asked.
Right. I can't see how it'd be fair for anyone to tell me I have to fork over part of my business if our marriage hits a rough patch. That's my livelihood.
I promise. I'm not trying to swoop in on your design firm. I admire your independence. Actually, I love that you have a successful venture of your own.
Thank you. Now, about the joint assets. Let's say we decide to buy a vacation condo together, or a new car. I want those things to be split 50-50 if something goes wrong. Or maybe in some other arrangement if one person pays more than the other.
Right. If I'm contributing 60% financially and you're contributing 40%, we should note that ratio. But we can also keep it simple and do a 50-50 approach if that feels more balanced to you.
The ratio idea is okay, as long as we don't get lost in nickels and dimes. The last thing I want is a relationship where we're constantly tracking who paid for what. That's a recipe for resentment.
Exactly. We can talk in broad strokes. Like if we both put money into a down payment, we just keep a record of how much each contributed, so there's no confusion later.
All right, I'm good with that approach. Now let's move to the sticky part, the personal clauses.
You mean the ones about betrayal, cheating, or abandonment?
Yes, that. You said you were open to it, but how far are you willing to go?
I'm willing to put in a clause that if I'm unfaithful, physically or emotionally, and I break our vows, you would receive some additional financial compensation. Obviously, we'd have to define what cheating looks like in legal terms, right?
It's tricky. People cheat differently nowadays, through texting, messaging old flames on social media, or something more explicit. I don't want to go full Orwellian, checking your phone every day. But if a serious violation occurs, I'd want protection.
We could phrase it so it covers intentional infidelity or an extramarital relationship. We don't have to define every single hypothetical scenario, just the broad sense of a major betrayal.
That makes sense. And for me, if I were to cheat on you or walk away suddenly, I'd lose any right to claim compensation beyond what I initially brought to the marriage, right?
That's what I was thinking, reciprocal fairness. If you betray me, you don't get to benefit from my assets.
Okay. Then we should figure out if there's a difference between a no-fault divorce, where we both decide we've grown apart and want to part ways peacefully, and a situation where one person is at fault. Because if it's truly mutual, maybe neither side should be penalized.
Agreed. In a mutual split, we each walk away with our separate property and we split shared assets fairly. But if one person is clearly at fault, that's when the compensation clause might kick in.
That sounds logical on paper, but relationships can be messy. Emotions will run high, especially if we ever get to that point. It's hard to be 100% objective about who's at fault.
Very true. That's where your idea about mediation first might help. We bring in a neutral third party to help us decide if it's a no-fault situation or if there's actual wrongdoing.
Right. It might still be painful and complicated, but at least we won't be flinging lawsuits at each other from the get-go.
Exactly. So we've got property distribution, a cheating clause, a mediation clause, and a mutual versus fault-based divorce clause. Anything else big we need to cover?
One big thing for me is spousal support. Like, if we get married and something happens that forces me to cut back on work to care for you or your family, shouldn't that be recognized?
Absolutely. If you're devoting your time to manage my household or help with my kids or something like that, you're losing income you could have earned through your design business. So yes, we should account for that.
Right. I'm not planning to quit my business, but life can be unpredictable. My daughter's grown, so I'm mostly free. But if your kids needed me in some critical moment, I'd be there to help.
And I appreciate that more than you know. Let's specify that if you sacrifice your professional opportunities for our family, you're entitled to some form of support if we split, because that's only fair.
Agreed. Now, how do we quantify that? A certain percentage of your income if we divorce? A certain lump sum?
Maybe we can tie it to how long you ended up being out of work or part-time for our family's needs. For instance, if you had to reduce your hours by 50% for 2 years, we calculate approximate lost earnings. Then that figure becomes part of the settlement if we break up.
That's pretty detailed, but it might be wise. Otherwise, it's too vague. I've seen countless women and men end up in financial ruin after sacrificing career time for a spouse, only to be left with nothing.
I don't want that for you. I'd never want you to resent me for pressuring you to help with my responsibilities and then leaving you vulnerable.
Good. Another angle. What if we have to relocate for your job or mine? Let's say my design business expands and I need to move to another state. Or you get a huge contract that requires you to uproot. Should we handle that?
It might be complicated, but sure. We can add a note that if we move for one person's career, we consider any losses the other person suffers. Like if your client base shrinks because we relocate. That's part of the spousal support concept, too.
Right. I'm noticing this is becoming quite extensive. It feels a bit cold and calculating, but at least it's thorough. Maybe that's what a prenup is supposed to be. Unemotional clarity, so we can remain emotional in our marriage without worrying about the what-ifs.
That's how I see it. It's not romantic, but in some twisted way, it might protect the romance. We'll have less reason to distrust each other if we already spelled out the worst-case scenarios.
Fingers crossed. Now, how do you feel about actually drafting it? Are we going to hire an attorney to finalize everything?
Eventually, yes. But let's keep it between us first. We can write out a rough version. Once we're both satisfied, we can bring in a lawyer to confirm it's legally binding and not full of contradictions.
I agree. Too many lawyers can turn this into an endless back and forth. Then it's no longer our agreement. It's a product of legal bickering. I don't want that.
Exactly. We'll just do a final check with someone who can keep it legitimate in our state. Once it's official, hopefully we can put it away and focus on the wedding.
That's the hope. By the way, do you think you'll show your sister the final version?
Honestly, probably. She'll want to see that I'm protected, or at least that I followed her advice. But I won't let her pick it apart. This is between you and me.
Just be ready for her to have opinions. I won't have her rewriting my clauses. This is our marriage, not hers.
Don't worry, I'm standing firm on that. If she doesn't like it, too bad. She's not the one marrying you, I am.
Thank you. I needed to hear that. It's still a sore spot, knowing she suspects my motives. I know she's just protective, but it hurts.
I get it, really. And I'll keep reminding her that you're an incredible person with zero interest in taking advantage of me. It's just family baggage. She's always been like this, especially since my late wife passed. She feels she has to guard me.
I can understand it on some level. She lost a sister-in-law she was close to, and maybe she's afraid no one can measure up. But it's still exhausting to be viewed through that lens.
I know. I hope one day you two can have a real conversation about it. For now, though, let's keep our focus on us. We have a wedding to plan after all.
That's true. So how about I start drafting a doc with bullet points tonight? Then you can fill in your perspective tomorrow and we'll refine it together.
Perfect. We'll keep it simple and clear. I'll also call the attorney after we have a decent draft, just to see if there are any glaring legal pitfalls.
Deal. And maybe we can do something normal and happy too, like picking out wedding invitations or finalizing the dinner menu so it's not all about this grim paperwork.
I'd love that. We need some joy in this. Let's set aside some time this weekend to go over the fun details of the ceremony, the reception, maybe even honeymoon ideas.
Good. I'm excited about those things. I just hate that the prenup overshadowed it all. But maybe once it's settled, we'll feel lighter.
Exactly. It's like ripping off a Band-Aid, right? It stings, but then we can heal and move forward.
Let's hope it works that way. On that note, do you want to see the draft tonight or tomorrow morning? I might stay up late organizing my thoughts.
Send it any time. If it's too late and I'm asleep, I'll check it first thing in the morning.
Got it. I might also add a short personal note at the beginning, something to remind us why we're doing this. So it's not all legal language. Maybe a paragraph about our commitment to each other, our love, our desire to protect each other, not just ourselves.
I love that idea. It feels more human. This contract shouldn't make us forget why we're getting married in the first place.
Exactly. If we're going to sign something so heavy, I want at least a glimmer of warmth in it.
Then let's do it. Go for it. And hey, Rachel, I really do appreciate how flexible you're being. I know it's not easy.
I'm trying. I still have moments when I want to scream and say, forget it, no prenup at all. But reason tells me to keep going. I do see your side, as much as it hurts sometimes.
I wish we'd met in a simpler world, one where second marriages and blended families and asset worries weren't so complicated.
Me too. But we can only deal with reality. And the reality is, I love you, in spite of all the baggage we both carry.
That's all I need to hear. I promise to do my part to prove that I'm not letting anyone come between us.
Good. We're a team. Even if that team has to write a strategy plan for the future.
A strategy plan, indeed. Marriage is a partnership in more ways than one.
Exactly. All right, I'll start drafting. Talk soon, okay?
Yes, talk soon.
Michael, I just emailed you the preliminary document. It's not super polished, but it's a start. Let me know what you think.
Checking now, hold on.
Sure, take your time.
Okay, I see your introduction. I really like the personal note. You wrote, "We are entering this marriage with full hearts, but also open eyes, determined to protect each other's well-being." That's beautiful.
I'm glad you like it. I tried to set the tone so this doesn't feel so cold.
It's perfect. Scrolling down, I see you split it into 3 main sections: property ownership, relationship responsibilities, and conflict resolution. That's neat. Very organized.
Thanks. I figured grouping the clauses might help us keep track of everything.
Totally. In the property ownership part, I see you included the concept of separate property for both of us, plus provisions for shared investments. Looks good. Maybe we can add a small paragraph about what happens if we sell something we owned separately, like if I sell my inherited house. Will that money remain just mine, or is it communal?
Good catch. If you sell your inherited house, it would still be separate property unless you use that money to buy something jointly. If so, that new purchase is partially mine. We can clarify that.
Right. Let's do that. Because I might downsize or reinvest. Need to be sure it's all spelled out.
No problem. Moving on to the relationship responsibilities. I wrote about how we handle child-related issues, though I avoided naming specifics about your kids or my daughter because we said only the 2 of us would be signatories. But I did note that time sacrificed to help the other's family should be valued.
I see that, and I appreciate it. I do worry about being too detailed, though. Should we mention hypothetical scenarios like if your daughter has an emergency or my kids move back home?
I tried to be general. The clause basically says, in the event that one spouse significantly alters their work or living situation to accommodate the other spouse's family obligations, the impacted spouse has a right to compensation in the event of divorce. That might be enough.
Makes sense. We can always refine the language later. Okay, the conflict resolution section. I see you put a strong emphasis on mediation before any court battle. That's exactly what we talked about.
Right. I just don't want us to blow up and head straight to lawyers if we ever hit a crisis. The clause says we agree to at least one official mediation session before filing any lawsuit.
That's reasonable. And then you have the cheating or abandonment clause. It's kind of blunt, But it's also what we agreed upon, right?
I figure blunt is necessary here. If you cheat, or I cheat, or someone deserts the other, that spouse forfeits or grants certain compensations. It's direct, but it's what we discussed.
Yeah. Reading it feels intense, but I guess that's the reality of building a safeguard. If I betray you, I pay the price. If you betray me, you pay the price.
Precisely. Let's hope we never have to invoke that clause. It's more of a deterrent.
Amen to that. I never want to see it come into play. I like the part where you wrote, any claim of marital misconduct must be supported by credible evidence before the penalty is enacted. That's important. We don't want false accusations flying around.
Exactly. I'm not going to ruin your life over a rumor. It needs to be concrete evidence, something that a mediator or an agreed-upon third party could verify.
Good. I think it's well thought out. I might add a small paragraph clarifying what credible evidence includes, just so we're not vague. But overall, it's solid.
Great. Feel free to edit and add your details. Then we can cross-check. Once we're both happy, we'll get a lawyer to finalize it.
Will do. I'll tackle it tonight and tomorrow morning. Then I'll shoot back a revised version. After that, we can do a final pass together.
Sounds good. I'm relieved we're making progress. And weirdly enough, writing this all down is giving me some closure on my fears. It's like I'm taking control.
I feel the same. It's liberating in a strange way. We're turning a scary topic into something we can handle together.
Right. Hey, Michael. I know this might sound odd, but thank you for not dismissing my concerns. Even though I was initially furious, you kept telling me you wanted to hear me out.
I'll always listen to you, Rachel. You matter too much to me. I know it was painful at first, but I'm glad we stayed open to compromise.
Me too. Let's keep the momentum going. I'll try not to bombard you with changes, but I might have a few more edits once you add your feedback.
Laughs. That's okay. It's our prenup. We can talk as much as we want about it. I just don't want it to overshadow the wedding planning forever.
Agreed. Speaking of the wedding, let's do something fun soon. Maybe check out some caterers or look at a venue for the reception?
Yes, let's do that. Actually, I saw a place by the lake that has a beautiful outdoor patio. Could be perfect for a mid-sized gathering.
That sounds lovely. I'd love an outdoor space. Let's plan a visit. Maybe over the weekend?
Sure. Let's do it. We can get away from prenup talk for a few hours and just enjoy the idea of celebrating with friends and family.
Exactly. After all this tension, a romantic lakeside venue might remind us why we're doing this. Because we love each other, right?
Absolutely. The contract is just a backdrop. The real story is our life together.
Well said. Okay then. I'll wait for your edits on the document and we'll reconnect tomorrow.
Yes, sounds like a plan.
Good night, Michael.
Good night, Rachel. All right, I sent back my edits. Most of it is minor, just clarifying the percentages here and there. You'll see them highlighted in yellow in the doc.
I've got it open now. Looks straightforward. I see you clarified credible evidence. You wrote documents, messages, videos, or validated statements from reliable witnesses. That should cover it, I guess.
Yeah, it might sound legalistic, but it's important. I don't want either of us to get slammed with unsubstantiated rumors.
Agreed. And you added a little note about the possibility of me stepping back from work to help your kids? That's basically what we said. Compensation for lost wages if we split. Good.
Right. I also included a small comment about retirement accounts. Maybe we should specify that any retirement funds we accumulate individually remain our separate property, but a portion can become shared if we actively contribute to each other's accounts?
Huh. That's not something I'd consider deeply. But it makes sense. If I'm contributing to your 401k or something, or you're adding to my IRA, maybe that portion is shared. Let's do that.
Great. The rest is just me rephrasing a few sentences for readability. I don't think there's anything else big. Did you have any other changes?
Not really. The structure looks solid to me. I guess we have a workable draft now.
Awesome. So what do you say we set up a brief meeting with an attorney next week? We can show them the draft, get feedback, and then finalize.
Yes, let's do that. The sooner we get it done, the sooner I can stop thinking about it.
Same here. By the way, how are you feeling emotionally about all this? Are you still feeling hurt? Or is there some relief now?
A bit of both. It's still surreal. Like I'm planning for the end of something that hasn't even begun. but I'm also relieved we're communicating openly. It's definitely a step up from my first marriage, where everything was hushed until it exploded.
Communication is our strong suit, or at least I hope it is. I'd rather face tough topics now than pretend they don't exist.
Exactly. I still have moments of sadness, though, like thinking about how romantic the idea of marriage used to be in my head versus the real life we're living now. But maybe that's just being a grown-up.
I get that too. Sometimes I miss the naive excitement of a first marriage, where you think love conquers all and no legal documents are necessary. But we've both been through enough to know life isn't that simple.
Right. And maybe that's okay. This time around, we're more prepared to handle the curveballs. Doesn't mean we love each other any less.
Exactly. We're just showing we're mature enough to protect ourselves from worst-case scenarios. Then we can focus on making the best-case scenario a reality.
I like that perspective. So, we have our draft. Next step, find a friendly attorney who can confirm we're not missing anything. Then sign it and stash it away.
Yes, stash it away and hope we never have to use it. Meanwhile, we can put our energy into the wedding details.
About that lake venue, did you call them?
I did. They said we can come by Saturday afternoon to check the place, sample their catering options, and meet their event coordinator.
Perfect. I'll schedule my day around that. Maybe we can make a date out of it. Grab dinner afterwards?
Absolutely. Sounds romantic. After dealing with all this legal talk, we deserve a nice evening together.
Definitely. I'm actually looking forward to it. It's been a while since we had a carefree night out, just the two of us.
Great. Then let's do it. Any other wedding details you've been pondering?
Oh, I've been thinking about the guest list. I want it to be relatively small. Close friends and family only. But I also realize you have business associates who might expect an invite.
That's true. Though I'm not keen on turning our wedding into a networking event. I'd rather keep it personal. A few from my business circle are genuine friends, though.
Right. We can strike a balance. I'm thinking maybe 50 to 60 guests total.
That sounds reasonable. Big enough to feel festive, but small enough to stay intimate.
Exactly. And about the ceremony itself, do you have any preference on whether it's indoors or outdoors?
If the weather cooperates, I'd love an outdoor ceremony. That's why this lake venue appealed to me. A nice breeze, maybe a picturesque backdrop for photos. But we should have a rain contingency just in case.
Right. Absolutely. We'll see what the event coordinator suggests on Saturday. Maybe they have a covered pavilion or something as backup.
Good thinking.
You know, discussing these wedding plans actually calms my nerves about the prenup. It reminds me we're doing all this for our future. Together.
I feel the same. The wedding is the real event. The prenup is just an unfortunate side act.
Exactly. Let's keep that in mind whenever we feel the anxiety creeping back. We're committing to a life together, not just a contract.
Well said, my love. So let me handle the attorney scheduling. I know a guy who's pretty laid back, not the typical cutthroat type. He can probably guide us without turning it into a drama.
Perfect. The last thing I need is a lawyer who tries to ramp up tensions to make more money.
Right. This guy is an old friend. He's seen me through a lot, so I trust him. He'll be professional, but also mindful of our emotional side.
That sounds good. So, we'll meet him next week, finalize everything, sign, and hopefully never look at the prenup again.
That's the plan. I can't wait to finalize it, breathe a sigh of relief, and fully dive into wedding mode.
Me too. Let's hope everything goes smoothly.
It will. Or if it doesn't, we'll face it head on, like we always do. We've already proven we can handle tough conversations.
That's true. We're stronger than I realized. Even a few days ago, I was so scared this was going to break us.
Same here. I was afraid you'd walk away, feeling insulted or betrayed. I'm grateful we're finding common ground instead.
It's been messy, but we're still standing. And maybe that's a testament to what real love looks like when you're no longer in your 20s. Less naive, but more resilient.
Absolutely. We've been through heartbreak and loss, so we know how to survive. Now we're using that experience to build something better.
Exactly. Okay, let's finalize our plan. You'll contact the attorney, I'll tweak the doc with your new notes, and we'll meet Saturday at the lake venue?
Yes, that's it. Sounds like a full schedule, but a good one.
Great. Thanks again for sticking with me through all this drama.
I should be thanking you. You had every right to be furious, yet you found a way to compromise.
Well, Love makes us do crazy things, like write a 10-page prenup together.
Indeed. But hey, once we sign it, we'll have a good story to tell. Maybe to our kids or friends, how we navigated the toughest conversation ever and still made it to the altar.
Let's just hope the rest of our married life is a bit less intense. I'm ready for some calm, everyday happiness.
You and me both. All right, I'll let you go. We've got our to-do list. Feeling good?
Yeah, surprisingly relieved. Talk tomorrow?
Absolutely. Sleep well, Rachel.
You too, Michael.